October 21st, 2022. Montego Bay, Jamaica. A body is found floating in the ocean off Redding Beach. Face down. Semi-naked. Strangled and shot in the head. The victim? 35-year-old Annika Townsend, known to over 300,000 Instagram followers as Slickiana. A mother, a businesswoman, a social media influencer who had just posted about her new house and fresh start in life. The killer? A man with a history of violence against women. A man who had been charged with attempted murder, abduction, sexual assault, and even killing someone before. A man who walked free every single time because witnesses disappeared and cases got thrown out. His name is Roshane Patterson, also known as Chizzy, and he's the son of a prominent figure in Jamaica, which might explain why he's been untouchable for nearly a decade. Disclaimer. Before we continue, this case contains descriptions of violence, strangulation, and murder. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. This is the story of Annika Townsend, a woman who was vibrating high, focused on peace and positivity, who made one fatal mistake. She got into a car with a man who had already shown the world exactly who he was. And it cost her everything. If you're here for true crime that exposes injustice, that demands accountability for the powerful, hit that subscribe button. We cover cases like this every single day. Real stories, real victims, real failures of the system. Let's talk about who Annika Townsend was before she became another statistic. She's at a place in her life where peace is a priority and negativity cannot exist. She's no longer matching energy. She's simply removing herself from any situation that doesn't vibrate with her soul. So, if you start moving funny, she's moving on. That was Annika Townsend's energy in the months leading up to her death. She was in a new chapter, focused, intentional, done with drama. She's at this stage where all she wants to do is pray, focus, manifest, and hustle. So she's releasing negative energy and welcoming peace. Annika, also known as Cayenne or Slickiana online, was a force in the Jamaican social media world. With over 300,000 Instagram followers, she wasn't just posting selfies and outfit photos. She was building a brand. She owned 2 businesses, Slick P Seisha and Slickiana 876. Both focused on fashion, beauty, and lifestyle. She was a brand ambassador for multiple companies.
The body believed to be that of popular social media influencer Annika Townsend, popularly known as Slickiana.
Bella Sparger, Havendale Healthcare, Done Jack in a Life, and Brit Snails Limited. Companies trusted her to represent their products because she had influence, credibility, and a loyal following. But more than the business, more than the followers, Annika was a mother. She had a young son who she adored with every ounce of her being, her whole world, her reason for everything. And in October 2022, she was celebrating something huge, a new beginning. On October 18th, just days before her death, Annika posted a TikTok video that would go on to get 165,000 views. In it, she's holding the keys to her new house, smiling, glowing. The caption reads, "New beginning." She'd worked hard for that house, hustled for it, manifested it, and now it was hers. Friends and followers flooded the comments with congratulations, heart emojis, fire emojis. So people celebrating her success. She's no longer easily accessible. She's in her own lane and there's no speed limit or traffic to slow her down. That was Annika's mindset. She was leveling up, moving forward, leaving toxicity behind. But just a few days later, she would be dead. And the man responsible had been a walking red flag for years, Roshane Patterson, also known as Chizzy. This is not a man who snapped one time and made a terrible mistake. This is a man with a documented history of violence, abduction, assault, and murder. Let's go through his record because it's important you understand just how dangerous this man was and how many times the system let him walk free. 2013. Patterson was charged with abducting a woman and killing her partner. According to reports, Yet he held the woman against her will, and her partner died after jumping from the trunk of a moving car that Patterson was allegedly driving. That case went to court, and then it was dismissed. Why? Because the primary witness, the woman who survived, didn't show up to testify. Did she disappear? Was she threatened? We don't know. But the case was thrown out and Patterson walked. 2014. Patterson was connected to a sexual assault and murder case. He allegedly slashed a woman's throat after sexually assaulting her. Her partner was killed. She survived, but was left traumatized. That case also went to court in 2017. And again, it was dismissed. The victim didn't show up. Seeing a pattern here? 2018. Patterson's ex-girlfriend reported him for abduction and assault, occasioning bodily harm. She said she met him at a gas station in Doheny Park, St. Andrew. While in his car, he showed her a photo of her current boyfriend and became enraged. He demanded to know how many times they'd had sex, accused her of being a police informer. Then he choked her, punched her repeatedly, and held her against her will. He threatened to kill her and dispose of her body. Then he forced her to withdraw money from an ATM and give it to him. She reported it. Patterson was eventually arrested. But it took years. He wasn't charged with this incident until after Annika's death in 2022. And through all of this, Patterson only had one conviction on his record: wounding with intent, a charge that had been scaled down from attempted murder. And even then, he got a suspended sentence. No jail time, just a slap on the wrist. Why? Was because, according to reports, Patterson is the son of a prominent person in Jamaica. And that privilege, that protection, allowed him to terrorize women for nearly a decade without facing real consequences. Until Annika Townsend got into his car. October 20th, 2022, a Thursday evening. Annika traveled from Kingston to Montego Bay. We don't know exactly why she was in Montego Bay or what her plans were, but we do know she had plans to meet someone. Roshane Patterson. At approximately 7:30 p.m., Patterson picked Annika up. During the course of the evening, they visited a restaurant in Hanover. They also went to a guest house in St. James, the Palm Tree Guest House in Green Island. What happened in those hours is still unclear, but at some point during the night, an argument developed between them. Was it about money? About another woman? About something Annika said or did that triggered his rage? We don't know. But what we do know is that Roshane Patterson strangled Annika Townsend to death. Not in the heat of the moment, not by accident. He put his hands around her neck and choked the life out of her. And then, to make sure she was dead, he shot her in the head. After that, he disposed of her body, dumped her in the ocean like she was nothing, like she wasn't a mother, a businesswoman, a daughter, a friend, just trash to be thrown away. The post-mortem examination would later conclude that Annika died sometime between 11 p.m. on Thursday, October 20th, and 9 a.m. on Friday, October 21st. That's a 10-hour window. Plenty of time for Patterson to cover his tracks, clean up, and disappear. But he didn't count on the ocean bringing her back. So October 21st, 2022, around 9:30 in the morning. A resident near Redding Beach in St. James was walking along the shore when they saw something in the water. At first, it wasn't clear what it was. But as they got closer, the horrifying reality set in. It was a body, floating face down. A woman. The resident immediately called the police. When officers arrived at the scene, they realized they couldn't retrieve the body on their own. The Marine Division of the Jamaica Constabulary Force had to be called in to help pull her from the water. When they finally got her out, the sight was devastating. The woman was semi-naked. She had what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the back of her head. She also had slashes to her head and neck. Her body had been in the water for hours, possibly longer. Decomposition had already begun. Then near the body, investigators found a towel covered in blood and a female wig. At first, authorities didn't know who she was. But once her identity was confirmed, Shockwaves rippled through the Jamaican community. It was Annika Townsend, Slickiana, the social media influencer with 300,000 followers. The woman who had just posted about her new house. The mother. The entrepreneur. She was gone. The body believed to be that of popular social media influencer Annika Townsend, popularly known as Slickiana, was fished from the sea off the shores of a bathing beach in Reading, St. James this morning. News outlets picked up the story. Social media exploded. Friends, followers, and family were in shock. People couldn't believe it. Just days ago, she was posting about new beginnings, and now she was dead. And almost immediately, people started asking the same question. Who did this? It didn't take long for investigators to zero in on a suspect, Roshane Patterson. Police learned that Annika had been picked up by Patterson on the night of October 20th. Witnesses placed them together at a restaurant in Hanover. Records showed they visited a guest house. Patterson was the last person seen with Annika before she disappeared. The police issued a public statement naming Roshane Patterson as a person of interest in the slaying. They asked him to come to the Freetown police station for questioning. They gave him a deadline, 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Patterson didn't show up. Why? Because according to sources, Patterson believed he was above the law. It is said that Patterson is the son of a prominent person. And for this reason, he feels he is above the law, making him do what he wants. Days passed. The public was outraged. How was this man, with his history of violence, still walking free? But the Jamaican police didn't give up. On November 3rd, 2022, after diligent surveillance work, Patterson was arrested during a high-level intelligence-driven police operation. He was captured in Hanover after a late-night raid by the Area 1 operational team. Roshane Patterson, the person of interest in the murder of social media influencer Annika Slickiana Townsend, is now in police custody. Finally, after evading arrest, after refusing to turn himself in, Patterson was behind bars. And the charges started piling up. On November 3rd, the day after his arrest, Patterson was charged with abduction and assault, occasioning bodily harm in connection with the 2018 incident involving his ex-girlfriend. That case had been sitting dormant for 4 years. But now, with Annika's murder in the spotlight, authorities were finally taking action. Then came the big one. Roshane Patterson, otherwise called Chizzy, who is of Harvey River, Hanover address, was charged with the murder of 35-year-old social media influencer Annika Townsend, otherwise called Cayenne or Slickiana. The post-mortem confirmed what everyone already suspected. Annika died from strangulation. The gunshot wound to the head was secondary. Patterson had choked her to death. At some point in the night, an argument developed between them, which resulted in Miss Townsend being strangled by Patterson and her body disposed of. Assistant Commissioner of Police Clifford Chambers stated that the investigation was ongoing and that they suspected Patterson may have been involved in other incidents similar to those for which he'd already been charged. In other words, there could be more victims, more women who didn't survive or didn't come forward. Patterson made an appearance in the St. James Circuit Court, and here's where the system failed again. He was granted bail, 500,000 Jamaican dollars, roughly 3,000 US dollars, for murder, for a man with a history of violence, intimidation, and making witnesses disappear. He was given bail. The trial was set for March 6th, 2023, and the public was furious. How could a man like this be allowed to walk free, even temporarily? People took to social media demanding justice for Annika, demanding that Patterson be held accountable, demanding that the court stop protecting him. She's such a bubbly person. Anybody who said they had a thing with her, if you and her have something, she just dismisses it, never in confrontation. And for someone to hurt her like that, it really hurts. Regardless of what people are saying, no one deserves this. Annika's friends spoke out. Her family mourned, and her son lost his mother forever. As of the making of this video, Roshane Patterson's case is still working its way through the Jamaican court system. He was charged with murder. But will he be convicted? Will he finally face real consequences for the violence he's inflicted on women for nearly a decade? Or will this case fall apart like all the others? Will witnesses fail to show up? Will evidence disappear? Will his family's influence shield him one more time? We don't know. But what we do know is this: Annika Townsend should still be alive. She should be raising her son, running her businesses, posting on Instagram, living in her new house and enjoying the peace she'd worked so hard to create. But she's not, because she encountered a man who had been enabled by a broken system. A man who should have been in prison years ago but was allowed to walk free because of who his family was. How many red flags does someone need to wave before we take them seriously? Patterson was charged with abduction and murder in 2013. Case dismissed. Charged with sexual assault and attempted murder in 2014. Case dismissed. Reported for abduction and assault in 2018. Took 4 years to charge him, and only after he killed someone else. At every turn, the system failed, and women paid the price. Annika's story is a reminder that privilege protects predators, that violence against women is often ignored until it's too late, and that social media fame doesn't shield you from danger. Our deepest condolences go out to Annika's son, her family, her friends, and the hundreds of thousands of people who followed her journey and admired her strength. May Annika's memory be a blessing for her family and for all who knew her, and may her life and death be an inspiration and a turning point toward justice and increased protection for all survivors of violence. We hope Annika gets the justice she deserves, and we hope Roshane Patterson finally faces the consequences he's avoided for far too long. Rest in power, Annika Townsend. You deserved so much better. Thanks for watching. If this story impacted you, share it. Let people know what happens when the system protects the powerful instead of the vulnerable. Hit that subscribe button for daily true crime that demands accountability. Stay safe out there, and see you in the next one.